Hey, welcome to the podcast. This episode is going to be about home prices and different types of indicators that you can view when looking at the housing market that we're in right now. And just as a heads up, the extended version of this podcast will be available on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts. So looking at home prices on a year-over-year basis, as you view this chart right here, one of the things that you'll notice is dramatic increases in home prices on a year-over-year basis. If you look at 2020, at the start of the year, the average home price was around $275,000. Fast forward a couple years, and at the start of 2022, the average home price was just over $350,000, a substantial increase in just 2 years. So at the start of 2021, the average home price was about $310,000, $315,000. A year later, at the start of 2022, the average home price was just above $350,000. And then going into about April, May, June of this past year, 2022, home prices have ballooned all the way up to an average of about $380,000, $385,000 nationwide. So when you're looking at year-over-year prices and you're a buyer or a seller, you're looking at a tremendous shift in direction over the past 2 years. You're going from about $275,000 at the start of 2020 to all the way up to just about $400,000 a couple months after the start of this year for the average U.S. home price. How do you view that? How do you look at information like that? I think one of the things is if you're a seller, there's nothing wrong with selling at an all-time high. The old rule of buy low, sell high is something that if you're a seller selling now, selling a couple months ago, selling 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago, would have been a very fine, fair move, and you followed the rules and you made a lot of money. Myself personally, I have sold a bunch of my properties over the past 6 to 12 months due to the high prices of the current markets, and compared to where I bought the homes at, it was a great move. It was a good profit move. But if you're a buyer and you're coming into the market, you just have to look at your situation. I look at the advice my realtors give me, and you got to look at your personal situation to determine what it is that you want to do if you want to buy. If you're somebody that's buying and you're looking to hold for a long time, market trends don't always affect you as much, because if you're moving into a house that you really want and you're going to spend the next 10 to 20 years there, you know and you understand that the market's going to do a bunch of up and downs throughout the course of time. So there's a lot of different ways you can take your approach. But if you're somebody that's a short-term buyer, somebody that's more like myself, I'm more in tune to market indicators. I'm more in tune to fluctuations and what's going on in the market, because I tend to hold on to properties for 1, 2, or 3 years. Therefore, I really like to judge where we're currently at in the market. And right now, I think the market's due for a nice correction that we're all going to see over the next 6 to 12 months. And it's kind of needed. I mean, like we just got back into home prices approaching $400,000 just a couple months ago. Right now, as of September 18th, the average home price is recorded by Redfin.com on September 18th at $371,000 nationwide. So, I mean, you know, a slight dip from 6 months ago, a decent dip from about 6 months ago. So, you know, if you're a buyer, there's different ways to view it. There's different ways to see things. But from my perspective, again, I'm looking at the market. I think over the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see a nice 10, 15, 20, 25% correction in the current market. And I think that presents a very good buying opportunity for more short-term buyers. When you look at month-over-month changes, if you're actually looking at from June to now nationwide, there's been about a $30,000 decrease in prices on homes nationwide. Year over year, we're still up 7.5% compared to the prior year, but on a by month basis, we're a steady decrease over the past couple months. And I personally think that that's a good thing right there. Taking a look at this chart right here. Home buyer mortgage payments are up 45% year over year. It's a pretty startling number. It's a pretty crazy number right there. I mean, for the average American home buyer to take a look at a mortgage payment increase of something like that, I mean, it's truly outstanding. If you look at the start of this year, the average U.S. mortgage payment was just under $1,750. Currently, as of September 18th, according to Redfin.com, this is also backed up by Zillow and Realtor.com, the average U.S. mortgage payment was $2,400, $700-800 increase. As compared to the start of 2020, the average mortgage payment was about $1,300. So you're talking huge increases for homeowners, for people that have just come into the market, for people that are buying homes in their mortgage payment. And this is why a lot of people, including myself, think that there will be a decent sized market correction over the next couple months, 6 to 12 months, because going from $1,400 to $2,400 a month in the last 2 years is a very substantial increase. And it's very hard for a lot of people to make payments like that. It's not an easy payment to make for a lot of people, unless you're part of the top 5, 15, 20% of income owners in the country. It's a difficult payment to make. It's just hard. It's not necessarily a sustainable payment that you would see people making long term. I think that you take a look at that, and if you're somebody that just wants to buy a home long term, again, how much does this really affect you? Pretty decent amount, honestly, because you're stuck with that payment until mortgage rates correct, until interest rates correct, in which I think that over the course of time, I think we will see interest rates correct themselves. But if you're asking the question, why have payments gone up so much? First off, COVID-19 changed the ball game. It changed a lot of dynamics in the housing market. Another thing is, with inventory levels that got a lot lower over the past few years, demand got a lot higher to get out of big cities and for some other reasons, causing the prices to continue to go up. So with those price increases, obviously you've seen the Fed increase mortgage rates, which has been a big reason why mortgages, the total cost to get a mortgage, has gone up because of these mortgage rate increases that we've been seeing. And right now, the average mortgage rate across the country is hovering in the 6s, in the low 7s right now, which is completely crazy because just 1 year ago, we were in the 3s. And so you're talking hundreds of dollars, in some cases, 1,000 into the thousands of dollars added onto a monthly mortgage payment because of the increases in the Fed increasing mortgage rates. I mean, the last couple homes I had, 2.9%, 3%, the highest 3.5%, the highest investment property I had, 4%, like 4.1%, I guess it was. Now you're talking 7s, high 6s, total difference, complete change of the ball game right there. So you look at the state of the market as somebody that sold properties and is now looking to buy in the market for Airbnb purposes, for another home, for land acquisitions, stuff of that nature, advice that I'm trying to give to friends and families. Some of the things that I look at is mortgage applications. I always judge the amount of buying by the amount of people that are trying to get mortgage applications. And if that number is going up, demand's going up, and supply is going to start coming down. Most recently, Mortgage applications are dropping, and they're dropping very fast, going right along with interest rates going up. On 9/28, the decrease in mortgage applications was 3.7% over a trailing 2-week period. On 10/5, that same number was 14.2%. It's a huge decrease. That's a 2-week period. You're talking about 14.2% decrease. And again, this is over a year over year. This would be over a year over year basis. But a 14.2% decrease in mortgage applications shows you that buyers are pumping the brakes when it comes to buying homes. And reviewing the information that we just posted, why would they not pump the brakes on buying homes? Why would you not reassess thinking about getting into a home buying decision when prices are going up and interest rates are going up? Historically, just looking at the chart that I'll post right here, you see it right here. Mortgage applications kind of falling a little bit off of a cliff right now, and that will probably continue to increase because the Fed has to control inflation. Inflation has gone really, really high, and people are struggling to make groceries, to make rent, mortgage payments. Energy costs are up. You still have to add in the price of clothes, the price of the other things that you have to buy. So the Fed has to increase interest rates to cool and slow the economy down. Some other indicators that I really like to look at, in addition to mortgage interest rates and also in addition to mortgage application, is new construction home cancellations. One of the reasons I look so closely at this is because this shows you what buyers are thinking. And in your COVID-19 hotspots, the places that people were trying to get to during the COVID-19 lockdowns, those states are currently seeing huge increases right now in cancellations, which is very confusing for the home builders. It throws them off a whole lot. It also throws more decreases into prices and price listings. It pushes inventory levels up. And when you look at Jacksonville, Florida, 26% of all new build contracts have been canceled at this point. Las Vegas, 23%. Where I'm currently living in Atlanta, 22%. Orlando, 21%. And Fort Lauderdale, 21%. This means that people that purchased homes from home builders that signed a contract months ago have now, prior to moving in, canceled those contracts for a variety of different reasons. And we put out a couple podcasts about this in the past. It's very interesting to see how that goes on. And for buyers, you got to love this, because as someone that likes to get involved with the buying process and buying new home constructions, when buyers sense consumer demand is dipping, they offer in a lot more incentives. And this makes buying fun. When you're getting free washers, dryers, refrigerators, blinds, curtains, closing costs, rate buy downs, different types of sidings thrown up on your house, all those things, it's fun to buy a home because you can negotiate with the builder on all these things you want dumped into your home. When demand's soaring, demand's going up like it was 6 months ago and prior to that, builders won't come to the table. They won't negotiate with you on getting all those things, on decreasing the prices of the house. They won't negotiate with you unless, obviously, if you have a really good realtor. But even then, it still gets more difficult. So it's another indicator to look at what direction is the market going to go into. I also take a look at another indicator I don't usually view a lot, but I check it out time and time again, is personal savings rate over time. Right now, it's been dropping super, super fast. Since just 2 years ago, it's dropped from about 15% down to under 4%, under 5%, well below, I mean, at this point, getting close to the 06, 07 levels, in a level this chart goes back to 1970. And personal savings are getting, look at the chart. It's a kind of disturbing chart when you think about it. The average American's personal savings looks like this right here. you got to tell me your feelings on that. Like, that's tough. That's hard. People need stuff. Groceries, you got energy, cars, vehicles, maintenance, your housing, and personal savings is dropping this slow. It's a disturbing trend. And how do you buy a home? How do you rent when that's going on there? You got to think about that. It's tough to assess that. You feel bad. Like you feel for the people going through stuff like that right there. And I mean, you got to be good with your finances. You got to be good at saving money. You have to be good at spending money. You can't buy stuff you can't afford. And if you do, you have to learn from those mistakes. But again, medical costs, food, housing, shelter, energy, it's expensive. It's expensive. Talking about indicators in relation to the market, take a look at crude oil prices, which have generally been declining for a while now, are spiking again, which doesn't help prices for homes. It's something that doesn't help because builders, when they're moving all their construction items, when they're moving all their raw materials to home construction sites, it's gasoline, it's fuel. You need that to pay for that process there. And that's starting to go up again. It doesn't help the prices of people, which actually helps with the real estate costs, but it's another thing to take a look at right there. So when you take a look at a lot of the indicators of what direction is the market going to go in, and you kind of rewind what we just talked about in this video and the data behind it, a lot of signs point to a market correction coming at least over the next 6 to 12 months. That would be my assumption. I'm taking a lot of time really identifying and looking at different markets throughout the country. I'm obviously interested in different areas in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. My realtor and I spend time looking in West Virginia, Pennsylvania, like Pittsburgh, and a bunch of other different cities and states. But as I'm assessing the market and watching areas that I'd like to make a next Airbnb purchase in, home purchase in, land acquisition, something of that nature right there, these indicators that I'm watching are kind of helping to guide me along that process, along with just viewing overall year-over-year price fluctuations and changes. And again, at an all-time high, at some point, there has to be a correction. And I think based on what the Fed's doing and other indicators, I think we'll see that correction continue as we've seen since June over the next 6 to 12 months. Thanks for watching the podcast. Like, subscribe, comment if you want me to review anything different in the future. And again, the extended version of this will be on Apple Podcasts and also on Spotify.